What's up, YouTube? Today I wanted to talk a bit about what I look for when I'm about to send coins for grading. People often ask me if I can take a look at their coins before I send them in for grading, and I'm going to share a little bit of the tools that I use and also a bit of my methodology. Not just for pre-screening, but also how I select the coins that I want to send in for grading. I'm definitely not an expert at this, but I've submitted enough coins to where I feel I have at least an idea of what they're looking for in terms of higher quality coins to lower quality coins. So 69, 70, I can tell with a fairly high degree of accuracy. But of course, as with anything, once you get too confident, that's when you get the coin that comes in at 68. So it's not always perfect. I don't always get it right. I do get some wrong. Sometimes I get it really wrong. But usually that's just a point where you make an adjustment and you learn something from what is wrong between that 68 or lower and the 69 and 70. So it gives you a little bit of more insight into what the grader is looking for. One other point that I wanted to make in this particular video is the quality differences between the different sovereign mints. And I use a Chinese metal in one to illustrate the new technology that's being used and compare it to the US mint slash metals and a newly produced elephant. So all of these are relatively new dies, new equipment, new coins. So they had to use new sizes, new material, etc. But for some reason, the eagle and the Standing Liberty Quarter itself comes out looking a little mushy. There's not a lot of depth to it. One thing that I've noticed is that new issue US coins have very poor quality. And it might be because of the high production, it might be because they have old equipment and they're not investing in newer technology, but all I gotta say, man, it's pretty bad. The eagle, the silver eagle, has been produced for the last 30 years, and the new innovation is rim writing around the edge. That looks pretty, it's pretty bad, and they've been doing it on the Libertads since the 80s. Even before the 80s, it's been done on the 50 pesos and plenty of other coins before then. And here you can take a look at a Chinese metal that's made by the Shenyang Mint, and look at the quality. The facility that produces this metal is the same facility that produces the Panda series. So the capability of the mint is on a whole different level than what we're seeing. So this is just one of the things that I notice when I look at the coins under a loupe. And I normally use this particular loupe, which is a 5-time magnification Bausch and Lomb. And I use the 5-time because that's what they recommend at NGC and PCGS as the standard, is a 5 times magnification. So I'm going to try to put this on the camera and see if you can see what I see. What I learned from watching the NGC video on their grading process, basically they work in a controlled environment with controlled lighting. So the lighting itself is super important in addition to the loupe that you're using. The loupe that I'm using is inexpensive. You can get high quality optics, but my eye is not. As long as I'm just in ballpark, I'm pretty happy. Really high quality optics gets you, the price goes up a lot. In this case, mine is pretty cheap. It's about 10 bucks, I think. And yeah, it works out well. The lighting is pretty important though. Soft white lighting. Don't get anything too white or LED. You need a soft yellow light, especially for gold. Silver, you might be able to get away with white, but on gold, the yellow, soft yellow, it helps see impurities and or dings. And if you can see, there's a little tiny mark on the right, so I wouldn't send this one in just because of that mark, because I'm pretty sure it would be a 69 or below. So as you've been looking through the loop, I'm thinking you can see the quality difference of the mints that I've been showing you. The textures on the skin, the different backgrounds, the fields, the depth that you're looking at. Really, once you look at coins close up, you can really see the quality difference. The designer, the sculptor, so many things. Like in this particular panda, you can see there are many layers on the die. There's a frosted on the panda, there's fur texture, there's background bamboo with the stamp impression of the denomination. On top of that, some other things. When you compare it to a basic eagle, which is pretty much satin finish and a hard stamp. To me, there isn't a lot of depth on the eagle. On the Liberty Metal, they do a lot better job, but that coin already has some spotting issues, which I'm not going to get into. But with a mintage of 12,500, they shouldn't be having those kinds of quality issues. So other than looking at the depth of the strike and the different layers, I'm also looking for the quality of the cartwheel to make sure that it's even, the fields have no interruptions, there's no dust or anything on there that might block visual appeal, spots, copper spots like on this panda. And surprisingly, even with this spot, it's still graded a 69. And this one has a bit more depth to it than the 2016 Standing Liberty, even though this is a relatively older design. So the panda and Somali elephant both have proof-like fields, while the panda has a mintage of 120,000. So you can see that there should be no excuse that US coin with 100,000 mintage can't have a proof-like background. Also keep in mind that this panda is almost a decade older than the Standing Liberty Quarter. 9 years older. Next year it's going to be 10. So, I don't know. Where the quality is, I think the US has to catch up to China in this case. I know a lot of people won't like what I'm about to say, but unfortunately, China has more modern manufacturing facilities and processes than the United States. Maybe not in pharmaceutical or banking, but in manufacturing, China is ahead of the US now. Because they've been updating and modernizing and making our stuff at the higher requirement that the US requires. So the US sets the rules and other people produce it to those rules, except for people in the US. Can you believe that? It's a hard pill to swallow, I know for some, that a lot of people think the US is the best at everything, but come on. Times change. There's some new facts that might shock a lot of people. Some of the biggest corporations are no longer US corporations, they're Chinese corporations. And it's because of their sheer size, and they've been working on their infrastructure and capacity and quality improvements. It's a little ironic because we set the specifications and send it to them and make sure they adhere to it, while here it's a little bit more relaxed. Unless you work for the military, then that's a different story. Then everything must be met to a certain level. So anyway, my point is take a look at the different coins that you own and have a look at the difference in quality. And you'll really begin to notice some changes. And if you go back, you'll notice the changes from the different decades of the mint. What I mean by that is look at the population of the coins and the quality of the coins at that time. So Eagles, when they spiked up to 10 million, look at the quality of that coin compared to the 90s. For the Eagles, it's pretty easy because the design hasn't changed in 30 years. But I invite you to look at the differences in the quality of pandas from the 80s to 90s to thousands to now versus Libertads or eagles, or whatever you have in your collection, and just see if you can see a quality difference. So sorry this video has run a bit long, but this is a pretty complex topic and I wanted to be as thorough as I could and try to explain it as best I could. And some thoughts behind why I think it is, or it's the case. So if you find this video useful, please click on that like button. And if you haven't already done it, subscribe and let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you have any questions, if I'm a little off, you think I'm crazy, would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section. So hope you have a good weekend and thanks for watching.